What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So I promised you guys I was going to do more of a Social Security update, talk a little bit about the stimulus package, where we're at, and also address where you can find additional assistance. Right now, I know there's a lot of people that are still suffering. And over the past 6 months or even longer, many people, especially those on Social Security, have been asking the simple question, how can we get more assistance? And even, when will lawmakers realize that almost every single Social Security beneficiary is living in poverty? Well, what I can tell you is that lawmakers are starting to ask these exact same questions themselves. They're starting to realize that yes, there are millions of people that are still struggling to get by. And with a 7% inflation rate, with the economy almost back to full employment, and with the stresses of Omicron, this is where right now they are starting to realize that not much has been done for people on Social Security. So here's what I can tell you. Moving forward, there's going to be a lot of issues. Okay, there's going to be a lot of issues. But here's one of the things you need to understand. Right now, what we know is that lawmakers are pushing different types of bills. They're just pushing random things, trying to get something done. What we've been hearing is that multiple Democrats have tried. They have tried to get, and this is in the House, they have tried to get support on the Social Security 2100 Act. But the reports out today has said one simple thing. They're indicating that right now, getting the Build Back Better Act or the voting rights bills passed, those are taking priority over anything for Social Security, over any other standalone bill. That's not what lawmakers are wanting. Lawmakers are saying that we just need to get something done. But when it comes to the, pretty much the American people, we're being told that we will get to it. This is important to us. We will get to it, but we have to be patient. That's a big issue because nobody at this time can afford to be patient. Here's what I can tell you. Democrats keep on saying that they are wanting to get more done for the American people and they want to get the priorities straight. Well, this is where I think there's a huge disconnect between where lawmakers are at and where the American people stand, because Democrats have stated that there's an overwhelming majority of support for the Build Back Better Act. And the overwhelming majority of Americans want to see this passed. But from recent polls, they're stating that around 50 to 56% of Americans want to see this passed. The polls tend to vary. But these specific polls are also calling for the original Build Back Better Act. They're not calling for the revised version that Senator Joe Manchin wants. That's not what they're calling for. They're calling for the original Build Back Better Act. And this included things like universal pre-K. This included prescription drug pricing cuts, right? We wouldn't see prescription drug costs so much. We'd see child tax credit payments. We'd see Pell Grants. We'd see climate, right? There's a lot of stuff in there. Now, was it the best bill? Obviously not. But it was a bill. It was a bill. Now, this is where things get really messed up. So just stick with me for a second. What the American people are being told is that right now, what they're going to do is they are trying to get the Build Back Better Act passed. Now, this isn't exactly what experts are believing, though, is that right now, what the reports are saying is that, and this is something that's been stated by multiple Senate aides as well, is that there were a lot of issues with the Build Back Better Act. So even though lawmakers are saying we're still pushing for it, they're pushing a bill that they know will never pass in the Senate, in the current Senate. Doesn't even matter if there's a filibuster reform. It wouldn't pass because there's not even 50 Senate Democrats that would vote for this. So it's turning into a big issue. But what does this mean? What does this mean moving forward? Here's what I can tell you. The most likely outcome at this point, and this is the reason why it's such a big issue, is what we're seeing is that many are saying that we are not going to get the Build Back Better Act passed because there's such a divide and there's issues. But the most likely outcome is that at this point is going to be a standalone bill for some of the provisions within the Build Back Better Act. And this is where the talks of Social Security versus something like student loan or student debt forgiveness. This is where this comes in. Because this isn't great news, what we're hearing. If we see a standalone bill, it's likely going to be something that was going to include climate change, there's child care, and then some form of stimulus for either elderly or those with student debt. Here's the problem. What I've said over the past couple of weeks is that Social Security will most likely be up against student loan forgiveness. But the problem is lawmakers are pushing for student loan forgiveness. That's what they're pushing for. That's what they say they need and they want. Because this, according to reports, would actually be a bigger bonus and a bigger push for lawmakers moving into the midterm elections. And I've been saying this for the past couple weeks as well, is we're going to see these political games. It's going to be game after game. So we need to be prepared for that. But right now, we don't know if President Biden is going to push for that $200 boost to Social Security. I doubt he will. But right now, lawmakers are pushing and trying to pressure him into doing more for student debt and for giving up to $10,000 in student loans. But nobody's really asking for Social Security. And that's the big issue. Because even Senator Joe Manchin, he stated, we cannot address Social Security and provide more to Social Security when at the same time, what we need to do is we need to shore up the program. That's what we need to do. So it's going to be interesting to see which way they move going forward. Now, for those of you that are still looking for additional assistance while on Social Security, there are some things that you can do. First, you need to understand that when you're on Social Security, it doesn't mean you can't work. Now, when I say you need to understand this, I'm not saying, oh, just go out there and work. No. Don't do that. If you can work and you want to work, go try to work. If you can't work, I completely understand that. But what you need to keep in mind is, yes, you can work. Now, when you're working, in many cases, until you reach full retirement age, you will have to pay back a certain amount of money for every dollar you make over a certain limit. So just keep that in mind, okay? But here are some of the things you can do to actually give yourself additional assistance when you're on Social Security. The first thing that you can do is, and a lot of people don't know this, is that if you live in specific states, those states don't automatically enroll you into SNAP benefits. So you won't get any nutrition assistance. So if you don't have nutrition assistance and you're not sure why not, it could be that you live in one of those states that doesn't automatically enroll you. So you must apply yourself. Sometimes Social Security recipients don't realize this until years later when they're talking it over with a friend or family member and they're getting it, but they aren't. So do that. And I understand, and I want you to keep this in mind, is when you get SNAP benefits, this is just going to be for nutrition assistance. You're going to get a SNAP card that you can use at a grocery store, okay? But when you get this card, what happens is there's a chance your Social Security benefits will be reduced because you're offsetting some of that with a nutrition assistance card, okay? So just keep that in mind. If you'd rather have cash and your money in your hand instead of money for food, that might be something you don't want to do because you could reduce your benefits. So just keep that in mind. The next thing you can do, and this is something that I've been bringing up for the past 8 months, 9 months, is that you can actually apply for broadband assistance. There's a broadband assistance program that will pay $50 every single month so that you have internet. The nice thing about this is that most people that apply for this do get approved. So if you are, even though you are already paying for internet, obviously you're paying for internet because you're watching this video, but let's say you're already getting internet. It doesn't mean you can't get that $50 a month, apply that towards your internet payment, and then you take the $50 that you normally pay and you move that to something else. Maybe for additional food, maybe for rent, property taxes, or even just savings, right? There's probably something you can do with an additional $50 every single month. I know it's not a lot, but it is $600 a year, and that could definitely help out somebody. And the next thing, and many people don't realize this, but many cities and counties offer utility assistance. It may not be something that's a recurring monthly assistance program, but even just one time. And it's actually pretty simple, because if you can prove that you've either lost some income, your expenses have increased in some way, or there's been some type of significant change, in most cases, you will actually get utility assistance. And if you are behind on any of your utility bills, in many cases, they will not just cover that current payment. In some cases, they will actually cover any back utility payment that is still owed. So that could actually catch you up, and that could be a big help as well. So all you gotta do is just reach out and see if there's any utility assistance programs in your area, but it's actually pretty simple. So there you guys go. Those are some of the things that you can do to actually provide yourself with a little bit more assistance when you are struggling. And even if you're not struggling, consider doing some of these things, because they will help put a little more money back into your pocket. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Have an incredible weekend as well. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys on the next one.